May 10, 1972. 7:30 a.m. The deep roar of 30 U.S. Navy aircraft from the carrier Constellation rumbles through the skies of North Vietnam. It is the first assault of a focused, intense air campaign against the North, aimed at crippling the communist invasion of the South.
In 1972, the North Vietnamese invaded South Vietnam. This set in motion a new phase of the air war called linebacker, where the United States went north, mined the harbors, and precipitated a massive air campaign to bomb targets in North Vietnam.
A strike package of A-6 intruders and A-7 Corsairs target petroleum storage tanks in the port of Haiphong. F-4 Phantoms of VF-92 fly escort. Lieutenant Kurt Dosay is among them. He flies wingman for flight lead Lieutenant Austin Hawkins. At a predetermined point, Hawkins and Dosay peel off from the bombers.
The hook point that Hawk initially picked was right over a 100mm battery that opened up on us. The AAA was popping these big, black, swirly flak bursts around us.
As Dosay and Hawkins move away from the flak battery, a radio call breaks the practiced routine of the mission.
Red Crown, the cruiser in the Gulf of Tonkin, started making MiG calls and called bandits, blue bandits, bullseye 040 at 70.
This code is how Red Crown calls out radar contacts. Blue Bandits means MiG-21s, the North's most advanced fighter. Bullseye is Hanoi. 040 is the bearing, at 70 miles. There are MiG-21s to the northeast, 70 miles from Hanoi. That means Kep Airfield.
We immediately came hard right, went into combat spread, ran it up to full military power, and started heading for Kep Airfield.
In minutes, the Phantoms arrive at Kep. Dosay quickly spots two MiG-21s with their engines on, waiting to taxi onto the runway.
I was trying to plot a course and wondered whether I could swing around and shoot a Sidewinder at them while they're holding short of the runway. And while I'm doing this mental exercise, my radar intercept officer, Jim McDivitt, calls out two MiGs on the roll.
Yeah, they're actually rolling down. They're halfway down the field. Kurt immediately took action. He was very aggressive anyway, and he just turned right away.
Both Phantoms wing over to pounce on the rolling MiGs.
Because we had made this sudden descent from 6,000 down to the deck, and it's a very humid environment, suddenly my cockpit was just filled with fog coming out of the vents. And so I'm flying blind at supersonic feet, 50 or 100 feet off the runway, with a Sidewinder growling in my ear.
Unfazed, Dosay reaches down and dumps the air conditioning to clear the cockpit. The MiGs lift off the runway. Warned of imminent danger, they punch off their external fuel tanks and brake left. The F-4s give chase.
We were still extremely low, below 50 feet to the terrain. I remember raising my wing a couple times to go over trees. By the time the first MiG had turned about 30 degrees, we had come from a lag pursuit position and pulled around into a perfect Sidewinder firing position of about 1,500 feet.
Dosay squeezes the trigger on his stick. The AIM-9D Sidewinder's solid rocket motor ignites.
It immediately made a hard 90-degree turn towards the inside of the circle. And I originally thought that it was going stupid, that it had a guidance failure or a fin failure or something. I was going to pull in and shoot again, and glanced over, and here came the Sidewinder back into the fight. It came in and went right behind the MiG and fired its warhead, but it basically missed the MiG.
Dosay fires a second missile.
It did the same thing, went inside the circle, came around. But this one, right at the end, it sort of took an extra turn, went right up the tailpipe. There was a 1 potato, 2 potato, and then a big orange fireball.
It is Kurt Dosay's first kill and the first victory of this historic day. But there's still one MiG left. Dosay asks McDevitt if the radar-guided Sparrow missiles are tracking.
Throughout a lot of that engagement, I was down trying to get a radar lock, and I got very frustrated because I never was able to break them out.
On the deck, there's too much ground clutter for the AIM-7's radar to get a lock. But Dosay has an idea.
I told Hawk that I was going to shoot a Sparrow in front of him to get him to turn in front of Austin, and he could have gotten the shot.
To accomplish this, Dosay will pitch the nose up and barrel roll. As he comes down, he'll be in better position for the missile shot. Dosay pulls hard back.
So as I barrel roll up out of fighter pilot good habits, I was looking around and I saw 2 more MiG-21s in fighter wing coming at us from our belly side, 5 o'clock position.
Dosay and Hawkins are here. The MiGs are here. Their best option is to turn into the attacking MiGs to keep the enemy off their 6. The Phantoms break right. The MiGs roar overhead.
And so we accelerated to about Mach 1.1, 1.2.
The Phantom's brute power will leave the danger far behind, or so it seems. Suddenly, Jim McDevitt spots a silver glint. It's a MiG-21 closing on Hawkins' 6. The Americans react instinctively, turning towards each other in an attempt to foil the MiG's attack.
Just as we were starting this break turn into each other, the MiG-21 fired an ATOL missile, an air-to-air missile, and it went streaking out towards Hawk.
The missile detonates close to Austin Hawkins' Phantom. The big beast shakes off the insult. Now the MiG reverses, beating a hasty retreat. Dosay turns in pursuit.
Jim McDevitt says, Kurt, what do you have in mind? We don't have any missiles left. What are you going to do with this guy? And I said, yeah, you're right.
Dosay forms up on Hawkins. And together they head back to the Constellation. VF-92 has a new MiG killer.